It's a moving target, but right now it's around 800,000 members, donors, activists, and supporters in our organization. The reason why it's a moving target is because right now we're adding about 1,000 new members every single business day. And I want to give credit where credit belongs for that, and I want to thank Barack Obama for making that possible. Because if it weren't for him, that wouldn't be the case. The week of the full thrust of our IRS campaign, we added over 18,500 members in 1 week. Now, the way we did this was, we obviously have snail mail addresses on every one of those 800,000 people, but we only had email addresses on about 200,000 of them. So we emailed them, and we emailed them multiple times. We also organized a conference call with Congressman Dave Camp, the chairman of the House Ways and Means Committee, and Congressman Camp did an outstanding job of both educating our leaders. We have over 400 local chapters. We have state affiliates in 32 states. We had not all of those people on that conference call, but a lot of them. And he was marking up, I believe, the next day, the legislation that would block these regulations. Now, before I talk about how we went about it, let me tell you why we feel so strongly about this. We feel strongly about this because we think that one of the things that separates the United States from every other nation in recorded human history until the time of our founding, and one of the things that makes us unique and exceptional, and it's the reason why people are willing to crawl across broken glass and brave oceans at the risk of their own lives to become Americans, is because we believe that the government derives its legitimacy from the consent of the governed. And if you don't think that that is different than what goes on in the rest of the world, just look at what's going on in Syria, where there's 140,000 innocents who've been slaughtered recently. Look at what's going on in the Ukraine and Crimea. Look at what's happening in Egypt, in Iran, and I could go on. What happens here is not normal. It is not the normative human experience. Now, the right to organize, to mobilize, to educate, to register people to vote, to ensure that they're properly activated and that they have an effective means of petitioning their elected officials is critical to the success of this democratic experiment. And so we really believe that these regulations in their current form, which outlaw in blackout periods prior to primaries and elections, the ability to distribute a nonpartisan voter guide, the ability to conduct a voter registration drive in a church, which is important to our organization, the ability to even post the voting record of an incumbent elected official or legislator on a website in the 60 and 30-day blackout periods before primaries and general elections. Now, if you think this doesn't matter, I want you to think about when the vote took place in the U.S. Senate on authorizing military action in Iraq, which was arguably the most important vote that the members of the Senate at that time cast in their careers. Anybody remember when that vote took place? October 9th, 2002. Less than 30 days before the 2002 elections. Wow. So if these regulations had been in effect, social welfare and 501c4 organizations would have been prohibited from sending out an advertisement, an email blast, or an alert on their website urging their members to contact elected officials who coincidentally happened to be a candidate for re-election at that time. So we consider this to be an infringement not just on our right to vote and organize and be educated in that respect, but also to influence legislation. We think it is an existential threat to the survival of citizenship as we have known it in this country and as our founders intended it to be. So what we did was, in addition to our roughly 800,000 members and supporters, we also sent out emails to about 4 million of our close personal friends, and we asked them to file comments with the IRS. Now the problem is that if we asked them to go to the IRS website themselves and type in the comments, or cut and paste the comments, we would dramatically lower our response rate or our transition rate from saying, yes, I want to do it, to actually filing the comment. So what we did instead was we created literally hundreds of individualized comments that, based on an algorithm of which list we were hitting, would comport most with their interest in the issue. And all they had to do was authorize us to do so, give us their name, their email, and their cell phone number. That's all I wanted. Just their name, email, and cell phone number. And then we would file the comment on their behalf. And we had 5 servers that individually filed these comments. In the final 2 days, we were filing an average of 20,000 comments a day. And we filed over 61,630 total comments. And what we want to do is, having learned from this, talking to Andrew and then some of our outside consultant team, we think we could have the ability, now that we see how it's done, to file literally hundreds of thousands of comments with a regulatory agency. I don't know if...
Let me just interject
here. Are you offering this as a vendor?
No, I'm not offering this as a vendor, but I can put people in touch with people. I can put people in touch with who help us.
My dream has always been, and part and parcel of why I took over the Institute for Liberty, is to slow down the wheels of the bureaucracy, bury them under an avalanche of comments that we can now do.